Okay, when we last left, we had all of our graphics up and we had our scoring done. And so now we're going to start working on going from round to round and player to player. So to start with, we're going to have to start, well, before we start anything, I need to correct some errors that I found. Okay, number one, let's go ahead and get rid of this. We don't need that label anymore. And we can get rid of these comments here with that about that label. And let's uncomment this. We may not need this, but it's just as a backup in case I miss a disabled game somewhere else. And I've kind of marked the mistakes I made. Like number one, like on the speed bonus, when it's over with, it's supposed to say round over. So we need to just type in label speed bonus dot text equals round over. And I just went ahead and wait 1000 just so it cleared up. And that's in the in round thing. So when it's at the very end, but before the dispose, we just say round over, because that's the way the game looks like it said on the video. And scroll down here. Okay, on our box select, I forgot to stop the timer. If we cleared the table, I forgot to stop the timer. So on the little if section at near the very end where it said timer round dot stop, enter that because I forgot to stop it. And on the remove balls section, I had a couple mistakes. This number here, it should be less than 52. I think I had it less than 51. And this one should be greater than 51. Otherwise, if the last ball you selected used and it cleared the table and it happened to be the last ball in the rack, it did not disable the rack, and the rack would still show 1 in the counter there. So I had to up this from 51 to 52, and then I had to add this, basically disable the rack because it wasn't there. And down here, basically, I didn't have the instructions set to false. So if you're playing the game and you hit take score, the instructions would stay up. But with it, I set it to false. And also forgot to stop the timer, so I put the timer stop. Now we did have it set to 1 for testing, so change it back to 3. And to get rid of the instructions, we need to go ahead and do the draw game. Otherwise, the instructions would sit there until the next round started, and then it would be erased. So let me get rid of all these. And we might as well get rid of this mouse click for the form because we don't need to locate anything anymore. So with all this cleared now we need to go back and change some things. Now we might as well start looking at 2 players. So to start with, we need to go to score and make it an array, and it'll be an array of 1, 0, and 1, and the round will be an array of 0 and 1. Player 0 would be player 1, player 1 would be player 2, since arrays start at 0. And we're going to need these variables. We're going to need the number of players. We're going to need which one is the current player. And the can play is another variable, and that's for deciding if player 1 can play or player 2 can play. Because player 1 may not get the bonus, but player 2 did. So this is the way I'll determine that. And we're going to start keeping track of high scores and their names, so we might as well set up an array for them too. So we got the number of players as an integer, the current player as an integer, the can play as an array, 0 and 1 as Boolean, and high scores 0 through 9, that'll be 10 as integer, and high score names 0 through 9 will be the actual name. Okay, so now you see all these errors here. So what we need to do, let's say on the start game, let's go ahead and say, we'll just say current player is equal to 1, and number of players, we'll go ahead and set it for 2 right now. Now when we get our start screen up, that'll determine what we're actually going to start with, and that'll be loading the number of players and which player it is. And so on the score, we'll preset them to 0 for both. And I'm keeping track of the round for each player. Now the round status, that should be fine, because that's just based on the actual round itself, not necessarily who's playing it. So let me make sure I got everything here right. Okay. So we're initializing the game with 2 players. The current player is player 1. We're initializing both scores to 0 and both rounds to 1, and the round status to 0. Now when we start the game, the round, I want to go ahead and preset the player number up here. So that's what this is for. The label player text will be the current player, and since we're going to start every round when we start it, it needs to be fresh. We need to reset the round status to 0. We also need to disable our little speed bonus so we can see our speed ball, so we'll make that visible equal false. And of course we're going to have to clear any remaining selections on the table and clear the table of all the balls. And now you see all of our stuff here where it says round. We need to correct all this. Let's just scroll down every time we find it. And let's go ahead and fix this too. I already forgot. Remember, the current player is going to be 0, 1, but in reality we want to say 1 or 2. So on our label here, let's change it to +1. Okay, same thing on score. We need to change it to current player. And we'll just scroll down and find every single one and correct it. I have a bunch of these in the end of round. I mean, looking at the error down here, I think I got them all, but I just want to double check. Okay, so let's scroll back up the top and just check something. Let me start off and say current player is number 2, just to see if it runs and if it throws number 2. No, we got an error. Oh, that's because I made a mistake when I reset it. Debug. Stop. The current player is either 0 or 1. And I said, so let's make it 1. It should show 2 up there. There we go. Player number 2. Okay, my score seems to be doing okay. Okay, let's make sure that's 400, 300, 700. So that'd be another 300. It should be 1,000. Whoops, sorry. 6, 5, 4, 3, 3. So 5. Yeah, it should be 1,000. Okay. Okay, of course, it's not going anywhere. So we got our players set up, and we got multiple player variables. Now all I got to do is just start cycling through the round. And the best place to put this is at the end of the round. Okay, when the round is over, let's assume we start with player number 1, player 0. We want to do is increment his round count. So it's a round, current player, plus equals 1. So let me go ahead and put a comma here. Okay, so we increment it. Now we want to find out, can he continue playing? In other words, if he's already done 3 rounds, that means the bonus round, then he can't play anymore. So we need to check to see if he can play. So we say if round current player is equal to 3, in other words, it's going to be the bonus round, and if the score for the current player is less than 80,000, in other words, the next round will be the bonus round, but only if his score is greater than that. But we say if it's less than, then can play current player equals false. All right. Before I forget, let's go up here on this start game. We need to say can play 0 equals true, and can play 1 equals true. So right now it's saying both players can play. And now if we find out it's time for the bonus round, but our score isn't big enough, then we can't play. Or if round current player is greater than 3, then can play current player equals false. In other words, he's already played the bonus round, so he can't play anymore. Now we need to say if can play equals false, then we need to check to see, well, right now I'm just going to worry about it later. Check to see if player has a high score. We'll do this later. And if the player does have a high score, we need to go ahead and get the high score and basically exit that part out of the game. Now we need to check to see if the next player can play. Okay, to do this, we'll basically just do a loop. Because right now, let's say player 3 can play, and now we go to player 1 can play because he can play the bonus round, but player 2 can't play because he didn't make it to the bonus round. We check to see if he can play, and if he can't play, then we check to see if the next player can play, which would be player 1. So we'll just do a little loop. Oops. We just do a loop, so the number of players. Number of players are 0 or 1. Well, or should I? Nope. We'll say 1 to 2. Current player plus equal 1. So we're going to go check and see if the next player can play. And of course, let's say it is already player 1 and we add 1 and makes it 2. We need to reset it to 0. So and we check to see if this player can play. Then we're going to, oops, or is this true? He can play. We're going to go ahead and start the round. And we're going to exit the sub. I said we're going to go through the loop. So if he can't do it, then we'll check the next player. And then if none of them can play, game over. Well, not game over, in game. And end sub. Now we need to move this G dispose. For now, I'll put it right up here, but we'll need to move it later. But for now, let's just put it up here. And let's just give it a shot. I need to put a +1 there, because current player is 0 and 1, and number of players is 2. So, yep, I need a +1 there. Let's try that again. Yeah, sometimes I get confused when it's 0 based on the arrays and I'm using, I probably won't be so lucky to clear the screens this time. Yep, no such luck. Take score. Okay, gotta try to remember the score here. 34-9. Okay, went back to 34-9, round 2. Okay, so no bonus round. So that should be the end of the game for player 1. Player 2, let's get the bonus round. Well, I don't think I made the bonus round. There we just, oh, I might have. Yay, okay. Bonus round. Alright. Alright, it appears to be working. I'm going to stop it here. Well, let's just go ahead and make sure it stops. Excuse me. Okay, the game is over. I see right now I need to fix that. If basically if it's 3, I want to put a B there. If it's not 3, then just put the round number. Okay, like I was saying earlier, I wanted to say the player number right there. And if on the draw round, I'm going to draw game. It says if it shows a round, it shows the round number. So this is a good place to put it. If current player equals 0, then player 1 if player player 2 give this a shot. Okay. Okay, that's about all I'm going to do today. I've been noticing my videos in the past of getting way too long. I was trying to keep it one section at a time before I quit. But I'm going to go ahead and split this one up. The only thing we have left on this section is really we're going to have to set up a startup screen so we can load high scores in. We'll have to set up a way to save high scores. And then after that, we'll compare the current score with the high score to see if a name and score can be saved. So until then, have a good day. Thank you for watching, and don't forget, if you like the video, please select the thumbs up, give me a like, and hit the little box that says subscribe. Thank you.